Hey everyone, Zoraz here of Not Casuals. Today I'm going to talk about peacekeeping talents and peacekeeping heroes against Behemoth, which build is going to be the best in order to fight these behemoths of all kinds in Call of Dragons. And because of some recent nerfs that have happened, it has changed quite a bit, so I'm going to go right into it. Of course, as I've said before, if you've seen my other videos, we've talked in length about some of the peacekeeping talents here that were working against Behemoth, even though they were not supposed to, because the description did not say. Duet was the prime example. When you do hero skill damage, there's a chance that you do an extra damage. Darklings and Dark Creature. This worked on Behemoths for the entire season 1, but the patch that happened like a week or two ago basically nerfed this. It does not work on Behemoths, kind of like what the description says, so it does make sense. Now, this was also very strong, and it says 10% chance to gain 100 rage on Darkness and Dark Creature. And from what I've gathered, all the data, this still works. So this is still the best rage gaining talent for Behemoth because 10%, 100 rage. Here 5 as well, 10%, 50 rage. And here is the same, 10% to 10, so it will be basically the same as this, 10% for 50. So this is very high, as opposed to the other ones. It gives a lot of rage. So if you were going to put points in here, well, this is basically double the value for the same amount of talent points. So in my opinion, this is still a very strong talent to take for Behemoths and for peacekeeping in general. So in my opinion, if you are going to bring mages to Behemoth, Lilia is still the best primary for this reason, because there's still some decent peacekeeping talents, and as well because the skill tree is very, very strong. But as well, you have basically for archers, you have Guanwin, which had the peacekeeping talent, which also were very good, but now that this does not work, it has just been nerfed. So I don't think the build itself changes dramatically. As I said before, in my opinion, archers are definitely the best units that you want to bring when you're doing behemoths. Archers do more damage than mages. If you are going to be mages, you should be human and you should bring celestials because they are the best mage units in the game for damage. And Lilia is obviously the best one to lead them for behemoth peacekeeping. Specifically, as she has, the best mixes of everything. But when we are talking about where you would put your talents, so if we're going to talk about mages first, of course, I still think that this is the best talent that you can take for Behemoth whatsoever when you're using mage units. It gives you basically 8% hero skill damage, and it lasts until the battle ends, which means that you will last the entire fight for any behemoth that you do. There is nothing stronger than this, in my opinion, for buffing, specifically just for behemoth. There's also a lot of talent here that boost the crit and crit damage of spells. There's also, some rage talent here that could be pretty good. There's a lot of good stuff in this tree. I also really like this. Now, when you're using mages, skill is really going to be a lot of what you do your damage with, especially because Lilia and like Velen, if you mix them together for Behemoth, it is very strong. They both have very high skill damage, and it just works very well. Now, when we're going to be in here, of course, there is going to be like 16 talent points in this tree right now. You could take out Duet and put it somewhere else, but you could also just remove this entire tree and go, all the way up here and take something like this, which is also a very, very good rage talent gain. Pretty similar to this, I think even better because it goes, the percentage chance is 25% and the rage gain goes, I think, about the same, 100. So I would say if you're going to be using a Mage March for Behemoth, now with the new nerf, you can scrap everything in the peacekeeping tree and go like this, and then of course you would choose this one because it is skill damage, which is what you're doing, and then you would get the choice between those two. I would say this is pretty useless against Behemoth because it is not multiple targets, and the ones that are, it doesn't work because they're too far from each other anyways. So obviously this will be what you would go for. Defense penetration against magic, ignoring, some of their defense, all kind of stuff. So it is very strong. It is obviously going to be this tree like this, and then here, boom. This will be, in my opinion, the best build against behemoths for Call of Dragons when you're using a Mage March, and specifically a Lilia-led Mage March. The best secondary, in my opinion, would be Velen for that March. And as I said earlier before, mages are not the best unit against Behemoth in most cases, but in some cases, like for example the dragon fight, mages do have a lot of value, and there are a few other fights like the magma giants and stuff where they also work really well. But there are some fights like for example the Dire Bear or the Hydra, where mage units are completely useless and do almost no damage because of some of the defense buff that these behemoths have. So in those fights you will not be using mages, and you can also just be using archers for every behemoth fight and be fine. So unless you are an account like me who focused on mage first, you would like to probably go into marksman and make marksman your main march for behemoth, because they are just better and they work on almost every single fight in the game, as opposed to mages who don't. Now previously I said if you are going to be using marksman for behemoth fights, you would be using something like Guanwin and Kinara. If you're a low spender or a medium spender, this was one of your best, if not the best march, and still is. But I was using Guanwin primary with a Kinara secondary. You could be 5-1-1-1 Kinara. You could also be doing primary Kinara and Guanwin secondary, but if you are a low spender, Guanwin first was the best option because of the talent tree. This does add a lot of power for someone like her. Now, I still think Guanwin first is going to be a good decision, and I still really like the marksman tree for behemoth fights. And I do really like this talent as well, even though this one is also not bad at all either. But what I said before still is true now. Precision is most likely going to be better for people who have stronger accounts. Precision makes your normal attack stronger. Normal attack comes from your statistics, your attack power, your troop power, all that kind of stuff. A person with T5 troop and really good artifact and really good everything will get a lot more damage increase from the precision-based tree, because their statistics are going to be way higher than a free-to-play or low spender who does not have as strong of an account and does not use T5 units or even T4 units with a lot of research into them. So if you are a low spender and you are not having the top most research and T5 and all that stuff, marksman tree is most likely still going to be better for you against behemoth. But if you are a high spender, precision is going to give you the most result, in my opinion. Now, this obviously does not work anymore. This is still very good, and there is no equivalent here for rage gain. So if you are looking for rage gain, you could scrap this and put 1 point somewhere else, like this, for example, and still be fine with this. But I still think that, of course, because of the nerf to do it, the chances are that you will be going to something like, this, and then you'll be something like this, which is more normal damage. You could do movement speed if you need it. This is pretty useless. And now this whole row, I don't like. This is useless. This is useless against behemoth, and this is not useless, but it doesn't really give you a lot of damage increase because it increases your attack but reduces your skill damage. So in the end, you lose damage to gain more damage. It's okay, it's just not that good. But in here, these two talents, obviously they're decent. Now this was way better, of course, but in here, you will do a decent job with these talents. They do work well. You do more normal damage here, and then here you have a little bit of hero skill damage. So they're both decent. They both work well. Again, it depends if you want to do more skill damage or more normal damage, which one you'll choose. But I think this brings me to a point that as a free player or as a low spender, Guanwin is still going to be a very decent hero to bring. But I think now we are walking into territory where Kinara main against Behemoth is going to be better. You want her 5-1-1-1 at least, and you can still use her as a main. And in the talent, of course, the marksman is still very good. Now, of course, she does not have the precision tree like my Guanwin does and like any other hero does, but there are going to be new marksman hero who might have the talent trees that we are looking for, a better mix and match of the talent trees, who will definitely change this data. But as of now, otherwise, I would say your best bet for marksman as a main hero will definitely be Kinara, and with mostly this build, some changes could be made here and there, but in general, this I think is the best one. And then here obviously it doesn't work because this is my PvP build, but if you were going for a PvE Behemoth build on Kinara, I would most likely go in the PvP tree. Even though it's PvP, it still works on Behemoth, and this would basically be a 3% damage increase. It is what you would go for against Behemoth. I think this would be the guess value. This does not work at all, so don't even think about it. And of course, you have here more normal attack damage, and here you have some rage gain. I think out of all of this, this is not bad either. You could get it, but I think the rage gain is better. And again, here movement speed, but I think obviously getting damage is better. So you do this, you do this, you do this, and you do this instead of this. And this would be a pretty solid tree for Behemoth. And again, you would also like to have Guanwin as a secondary, and this is the kind of tree you would use for Behemoth, like this version of the marksman tree with a Kinara's PvP tree. I think would give you the best result in terms of PvP. But again, as I said, there is going to be new marksman hero. So things will change in that data. But from the nerfs to duet, this is, in my opinion now, the best build for Behemoth with archers and with mages. One last thing to mention, of course, is that Nico is going to be very good. You could do Nico, Kinara, Kinara, Nico. Nico does have a precision tree, so again, Nico will be a hero used more by whales against Behemoth. I would see a lot of people do Nico, Kinara, and do precision full with marksman, the first node talent point, where basically you come here, you know, and then you have all of this filled up. For whales, this is going to give you the best value, because, like I said, it is going to be stacking up of your stats and give you a really, really good result from that. As well as if you're a high spender, Hosk will be your best bet against with Kinara, so Kinara Hosk or Nico Hosk, but this is for a very, very small percentage of the population because most people don't have Hosk expertise, as it costs hundreds of dollars. But it would be the best March in the game, and no one will be able to compete with that because it is a fully pay-to-win March. So Season 2 obviously is coming soon. New heroes will change things a little bit. Marksman, still the best unit for Behemoths. New heroes most likely will make them the best March for Behemoths because they will add a lot of value to that, and they are looking pretty good. As always, if you have any questions about Behemoth, trees, talents, and stuff, and if you have tested some things and found out some interesting data about the talents and the nerfs that have happened, make sure to share with me in the comment. I will be happy to look into it as well as answer any questions you have. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.